I am Jatendra Kumar Behra speaking on national development. It is a reality that must yield space to rhetoric. Otherwise, development in its complete sense cannot be achieved. My presentation has always extolled Prime Minister Modi as the tallest among the all current political leaders whose deliverance both as the Chief Minister of Gujarat from 2001 to 2014 and as Prime Minister of the country from 2014 till date has marshaled a roller coaster landslide majority with sheer merit of a towering leadership, high performance, makes him one and only single leader of substance who can raise this nation to first world status. But as the responsible citizen, it becomes our bounden duty in participating in grandiose task of nation building by highlighting the shortcoming of a process for proper redressal, ensuring that reality replaces rhetoric. Hard work must be silent so that real output would make noise at a public glare. While many daunting tasks have been achieved, many more remain to be accomplished. Issues are being enumerated below. Point 1. Government declaration of national growth for first quarter at 7.8% with rejoice and jubilation was questioned by Dr. Ashok Modi, an acclaimed professor of economics at Princeton University. Source the English Daily Telegraph dated 8th September 2023 with relevant fact and figures and concluded it at abysmally low 4.5%. Instead of taking note and prompt corrective measures, the, the finding was tersely rejected in a very small space very next day in the same newspaper. Whereas Dr. Modi's presentation was headlined boldly, does it reflect the nation's seriousness as abnormally serious cause? Based on government declaration, even highest ranking media baron called for resignation of a flamboyant ex-RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan, now distinguished professor of finance at Booth School of Economics, Chicago University, who all along was predicting Hindu rate of growth. Second, takeaway from G20 summit held at New Delhi on 9th and 10th September 2023. High decibel jubilance is still going on in government and ruling party supporters. The summit failed on some counts. A. Heads of major countries like China and Russia skipped the summit, but final declaration remained as per their demand and wishes. Even Vladimir Putin reportedly praised Modi ostensibly for carpeting Ukraine issue. Of course, in a spirit of a foreign policy domain, India was left with no other option. B. Extraordinary neat and cleanliness, super showcase management went into conducting the event, which is by and large cosmetic, not medicinal. Saving grace was a declaration of a US Asian European Transport Corridor, a US initiative at a G1 summit as a direct counter to expansionist China's One Belt One Road initiative. Our increasing current account deficit on trade with China and indebtedness to multilateral lending agencies continues to soar. Greatest point of advantage, US has entered into partnership with India exclusively to contain China in is necessity of the moment, and India must make best and most out of it. Even in ongoing India-Canada diplomatic trade-off, US is rather with India. Image Prime Minister's popularity. Source Mint, 22nd June 2023, abridged version. PM Modi is image builder extraordinary with 895 million followers on social media platform Twitter. PM Modi is one of the most popular leaders in the world. There is reason behind it, writes Mujib Marshall in a New York Times. His popularity is linked to an old-fashioned radio show which feeds a vast social media network. Every broadcast of Mon Ki Baat is scripted for a nation on ascent, connecting local with national and global, and it is aired every month, associating Prime Minister with every every positive happening. His popularity is not based on the fact that he is Prime Minister of world's largest democracy, nor because of countries he visits. It is based because of impact he has on those people, obviously on us, and the policies he drives speaks volume of his legacy. He has covered 100 such episodes. He talks to farmers, poor sections, offers advice on managing stress of school examining. That is, he exploits his own grassroots origin to the hilt. The radio show sliced into chips and blasted through the party's immense social media apparatus, accompanied by text video, text and video. All said and done, Modi has been in a public office since 2001 to 2014 as a Gujarat Chief Minister, where simply put, developments accomplished are unparalleled, astounding, and enviable. From 2014, Modi ji completely smashed the opposition in a general election, even though the ally is known as NDA. BJP alone, under leadership of Modi ji, won a majority beyond imagination and became Prime Minister of India. With sterling performance, with some ups and downs in 2019 general election, success story was more glorious. Had it not been performance-based popularity, Modi ji had been a public office as CM and then as PM since 2001, two times as PM. So, whatever be the media he has adopted to popularize himself is more than justified. Mujib Marshall writing on New York Times notwithstanding, Modi ji continues to be towering leader with no parallel. Come general election 2024, all of us will be witness to Modi tsunami. Modi is a bull in China shop or even a bull in a bull shop. A completely terrified opposition, finding no way out, have formed a 26 political party alliance called INDIA, where every leader aspires to be prime minister, but in fact that none of them can be, as India, however strong it might be, might perceive itself. With Modi wave, it will simply fall apart. Brookings Institution dated 16th March 2012 by William J. Atholis had termed Modi ji as a most admired and feared politician. This observation was prior to Modi becoming Prime Minister, and a leading industrialist had started canvassing his Prime Ministership. All these events are not coincidence. This is a clear, loud message and a signal of a tall leader, composite in most aspects, has arrived to take charge of the nation. Time magazine dated 28th May 2019 described Narendra Modi as united India like no prime minister in decades. Kora says even some people blindly love Modi. India as a leading power. Carnage Endowment for International Trust, paper by Ashley J. Tellis, Tata Chair for Strategic Affairs and Fellow at Carnage Endowment for International Peace, 4th April 2016. Prime Minister Modi ji's call for India to become a leading power represents a change in how the country's top political leadership conceives its role in international politics. In Modi's vision, a leading power is essentially a great power. However, India will acquire this status when its economic foundations, its state institutions, and military capabilities are truly robust. It will take concerted effort to reach this pinnacle, realizing the unfulfilled potential. When fulfilled, Modi's ambition to make India a great power will mark beginning of a third epoch in Indian foreign policy, when its weight and preferences will determine the outcome in global system. New Delhi's current ability to expand its mm, national power is handicapped by overly regulated economy, inadequate state capacity, burdensome state society relations, and limited rationalization across state and society at large, all of which have persisted throughout the history. Of course, there has been a sea change in this scenario. Whether India becomes a great power depends on its ability to achieve multidimensional success in terms of improving economic performance and wider regional integration, acquiring effective military abilities for power projection coupled with wise policies of their use. Even if India manages to undertake the myriad reforms necessary to achieve these aims, many analyses suggest that it will be weakest of major pole for decades to come located geographically located uncomfortably close to powerful China. What India must do to become a leading power? Accelerate complete structural reform necessary to create efficient product and factor market. It has lost many opportunities. It has lost many opportunities to build efficient market that foster innovations and accelerate long-term trend growth. Of course, scenario has now undergone a sea change. The government needs to redirect its activities towards producing better public goods while establishing institutional framework that stimulates private creativity r- rela- increases rationalization across Indian industry. On ascendancy of a prime ministership, Modi ji challenged his senior diplomats to help India position itself with a leading role rather than just a balancing force. Modi ji's dramatic international initiative reflected India's growing self confidence, declaring that the now country now aspires to be a leading power than just a balancing power, said Jaishankar, currently nation's foreign minister. But imagination, self confidence, aggressive approach by themselves cannot empower India with such global status. These are to be absolutely backed by robust, resilient economy, vibrant and globally performing defense sector, sustained socio-political resilience. The domestic liberalization coincided with the collapse of the Soviet Union. Reforms on all sectors started taking place effectively from 1990. GDP marked growth to 6 to 7% against previous average of 4%, leading US CIA to conclude that India was likely to become most important swing state in international system. This measurement, this assessment suggested that India's significance in global policies lay mainly in its being a balancing power. That is, even if it were not strong enough to be independent pole, its presence in a particular international coalition would strengthen that group significantly. From a structural perspective, great powers in international politics are genuine poles. Their number defines configuration of global system. Their preferences regulate its institutions and determine the way in which constituent entities relate to one another. Great power accordingly are system makers. Leading power in contrast are not genuine poles. They exist with a disposition defined by great powers. Even though Modi clearly seeks to transform India from merely being an influential entity to one whose weight and preferences are defining for international policies. Although contemporary projections of global growth to 2050 suggest that India will be a true pole, by then they also conclude that it will be remain the weakest of the pinnacle entities China, USA, European Union, and India dominating international system at that time. So India must act studiously, aided by permanent permanent ally USA to emerge as a true superpower. Concrete, urgent actions required. Modi ji as a prime minister is truly envisioning crisscrossing globe, outreaching all possible leaders, and leaving no stone unturned in accomplishing his dream objective. Theorists may produce tons of documents with regard to course of action, but wearer knows where the shoe pinches. I am now coming to most critical point concerning overall national development, which I have vociferously argued in my presentation India under purgatory, miraculous miraculous Chinese economic growth and a lesson for India. First, India as the world's largest democracy is heavily burdened with a multi-party system which is a single imposing factor in arresting the development. Advanced democracies like USA, UK have only bi-party system where democracy nowhere hinders national growth. Only nation developed in all aspects, towering towering the entire globe is China, which is equal in size and population to India, but run with altogether different single party model. With embarkment of liberalization since 1978, it has been posting continuous growth rate of 9 to 13%, average might be 10%, a daydream for India. It must be borne in mind that such a sustained growth rate, commensurate high productivity, adoption of modern state-of-art technology has landed China where it stands today. I have mentioned acclaimed journalist Pallavi Ayar for 6 years, reporting from Beijing, traveling whole of China on political economy for newspapers Hindu and Indian Express. Reservation in different counts increasing as years pass by since independence. Subsidy of various firms are day in and day out soaking blood from economy and extracting heavy political rent. These two blood soaking system must be dispensed with. It is Modi's prerogative as to how these will be accomplished. When he undertook a audacious measure like demonetization, why cannot these negative systems be trampled upon? No doubt, Modi tallest leader, has accomplished many tasks. The many tasks remains to be expedited, and the tallest entail mega reforms taller than Modi himself. It is worthwhile to mention while the Prime Minister is doing so much, he has he has to set blinkers over RSS agenda, revision of history while rightfully promoting strong entrepreneurs must not be seen to protect them. To counter mega stature of Modi ji, 26 opposition parties have formed INDIA bloc. It is almost certain Modi wave will completely wash it. In case reverse happens, where will nation be? It is time Modi ji must empower himself as a benevolent dictator like Lion Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. Work out to mega reform might be daunting, painful, and even seen anti-people to protect the growth of India in his of India to his and for that matter for a countryman's vision. Multiple political forces multiple political forces hindering the development, extorting extorting state exchequer must to be kept at bay. These tasks may appear audacious, but look at whole world. Is a single country developing? Is a single develop? Is in look at whole world. Is a single developed country being run in this political pattern? In a fitness of things, all politicians across the party divide must sit together, decide upon keeping nations interest primary and theirs secondary. Will it happen at all? I do not think so. How long shall we languish in the name of democracy, liberty, free speech, so on and so forth? Any slight dereliction in India is immediately attracting world attention, but who is looking at China? At a global level, same old adage is running, might is right. Let India become an international power pole, whole world will stop its scrutiny. At that time, India will be a agenda setter for the global affairs. In the English Daily Telegraph, 18th August 2023, Dr. Vivek Devrai, Chairman Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, in his personal capacity, has rightly questioned how much is basic is with regard to retention of a basic structure of a constitution apropos to Kesavanand Bharat case in 1973. He has been castigated as a towing saffron line. I am also one with views of Dr. Devrai, but my contention is we must have our supreme document called the Bible of democracy, which must very rightly enable the leadership to lift the nation to global height where we can exercise our might. Even that, in my view, will be ultimate honor to the constitutions. Enough is enough, Modi ji. It is time for a direct action to lead India to globalization block of ultimate power. There is no time to wait because if we wait, we will have to keep on waiting and watching. Thank you, everybody.